This is where we can begin. Just after dawn, in a foreign country, on a flat shore by the North Sea, in what we now call the Netherlands. This is Friesland, and it's in this part of the world that we can still hear the modern language that we believe sounds closest to what the ancestor of English sounded like 1500 years ago.
En als we dan maart nog even bezoeken, maart hebben we toch wel een aantal dagen rond met frost. Ja, Friese die het op zijn 9 dagen, dat vooral ondergroen.
In Friesland, many people start their day listening to the weather forecast from popular weatherman Piet Palusma.
En dan mandje, tiesje en waasje. Het worden dagen...
Some of his words might sound familiar, like 3 and 4, frost and freeze.
Een temperatuur om bij de 3 of de 4 graden, geen frost, het zal net vriezen.
Mist and blue.
Vierders de kans op mist. En dan morgen. En daarmee flink wat zinnen. Blauw in de lucht.
The reason we can recognize these words is that modern Frisian and modern English can both be traced back to the same family, the Germanic family of languages. And some words have stayed more or less the same down the centuries. Butter, bread, cheese, meal, sleep, boat, snow, sea, storm. The West Germanic tribes who invented these words were a warlike, adventurous people. They'd been on the move through Europe for the best part of 1,000 years and now had settlements in what we would call the lowlands of northern Europe, Holland, Germany and Denmark. But they were still greedy for land, ready to move on. This is the island of Terschelling. The English coast is about 250 miles to the southwest behind me. It was from these islands and the low-lying Frisian mainland that in the 5th century a Germanic tribe, part of the family that also contained Jutes, Angles and Saxons, made sail to look for a better life. And they took their language, our language, with them.
Us mid flodabar, on ranrada chiak stefn akker, snelletje semiark, snude bewunden. Who had with this leeuwde land gezochten, ware berekena, zwaars wind voordraf.
The Germanic tribes weren't the first to invade our shores. More than 500 years before, the Romans had also come by sea to impose their will. Now their empire had crumbled, and they'd abandoned these islands, leaving the native tribes, the Britons or Celts, to their fate. This is Pevensey Castle, an ancient Roman fort that used to stand on the very shoreline of the south coast. The chronicle of the period reported that in the year 491, Germanic invaders laid siege and slaughtered the Celts who'd taken refuge here. Not one of them was left alive. Other Celts did survive the invasion, 1 million or more of them in England, but they were a broken people. The clue to their fate lies in the word the Germanic tribes used to describe them. It was Wilas, a name that lives on in our modern language as Welsh. 1,500 years ago, it meant both foreigner and slave. The Celts became servants and followers, second-class citizens. The only way up was to become part of the invaders' tribes, to adopt their culture and their language. The Celts and their language were pushed to the margins. Only a handful of words from the Celtic languages survive into modern English. In the north, where I come from, we have crag, meaning rock, coombe, meaning deep valley, and dialect words like brat and brock for badger. There are traces in place names. The Tor in Tropenna, spelled as Torpenhow, a neighbouring village to my own, that comes from the Celtic for peak. The Car of Carlisle means a fortified place. In the south, they left us the names of Thames and Avon, Dover and London. But these were fragments. The language that prevailed was that of the victors. By the end of the 6th century, these Germanic tribes occupied half of mainland Britain. They had divided into a number of kingdoms: Kent, Sussex, Essex and Wessex, denoting the settlements of southern, eastern and western Saxon tribes; East Anglia, named after the Angles who gave England its name; Mercia in the Midlands, Northumbria in the north. Throughout these areas, many modern place names come from that settlement, or use the words they brought. We live with them. We live in them every day. The ing in modern place names means the people of. Ton, as in Wickton where I come from, means enclosure or village. Ham means farm, which might surprise one or two Tottenham supporters. The Germanic tribes now settled around the country all spoke their own dialects. From among them would emerge one language, Anglo-Saxon or Old English, and we all speak it every day.
With our 5 strikers, none of them can really finish. Armstrong, Everson, Natural, Sheringham.
We just need some youth and pace, really.
Examine the language you use today and you'll still find hundreds of words from a language over 1,500 years old. Keywords ranging from the names we give family members to numbers.
Gardner also. So what do you reckon today?
I think we'll win 2-1 today. So
I'll drink to that.
I live in like a West Ham sort of area, and I've got a lot of West Ham friends, but for this game we'll be enemies.
For the home games, I would go with the guys we meet up from the Top Spurs website, or with my daughter to other games. I mean, she's 5 at the moment. Loves it. She loves singing the songs, the nice ones anyway.
I was coming with my son, so we just go in, get something to eat first, go into the ground, stay with the atmosphere and watch the game. There has been a few high-scoring games over the years. I think the highest we ever beat them was 6-1. A repeat today wouldn't go amiss.
Most of those words were from Old English. Nouns like youth, son, daughter, field, friend, home and ground. Prepositions like in and on, into, by and from. And the are from Old English. All the numbers and verbs like drink, come and go, sing, like and love. But would these words have sounded different all those years ago? In a slightly quieter pub, I asked language expert Katie Lowe.
They sound a little different. I mean, the Old English for sun is sunu. That's not so very different. Game is garmen. Ground is grund. And I noticed that Steve says his daughter loves singing songs. If you said that in Old English, it would be his dochter loveth a sangas singen. And you can see that that sounds pretty much like modern English.
So, in fact, you can have a good conversation in Old English?
Oh, yes, you can indeed. I mean, each word I'm saying now is from Old English.
Have you any estimate how many words there were swirling around compared with how many words we have now?
We think it was in the region of 25,000 words. Compare that with an average desk dictionary, which maybe contains something like 100,000 words. It sounds pretty small. But if you think about the fact that an averagely educated person will probably have about 10,000 words in their active vocabulary, there are plenty of words to go round.
English took its first steps away from its tribal roots with the revival of Christianity.
Nu I schulen herian, he often reaches weird. Methodes mikte and his mood gethunk.
Let us praise the King of Heaven, the power of the Creator and his conception, the work of the glorious Father who created every wonder, the eternal Lord.
He often to groeven, halig schipend.
In 597, the monk and prior Augustine led a mission from Rome to Kent. Around the same time, Irish monks of the Celtic Church were establishing a presence in the north.